if I enter a Kenyan library, the one that has the Dewey system, that's the truth. Like, I won't get African authors.
Had you been in Macmillan Library?
No, the funny thing is, lived in Nairobi all my life. Peter too.
Yeah.
Because now with Kenya, the way we interact with libraries is Caucasians used to do this, do that. And you still have to go to the same Caucasians to look for funding. How does that work? Do you feel some level of guilt? Like, do you make sure that they don't watch that part? They'll watch it when it's been released. What was happening when the cameras are not rolling? Were they happy to see you there? Because I'm trying to imagine the way such environments are secretive. If you're there with a camera in my face and maybe I'm having a bad day, like, what happens? Ekonene. Now, hii ni a special episode, and this is because the Kenya Film Festival happen. Nairobi Film Festival happen hii wiki, but I don't know kama hii movie ni juu ya the film festival. Is it because of the film festival happening? The documentary?
It is, I think, a bit of everything. It is due a film festival, but it's Kenyan Premier Life moving forward now into the near future.
The official coming home of the film.
Yeah.
Okay. So niko na Chris na niko na Maya, two filmmakers based in Kenya. Ma? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Born and bred, Mimi.
Yeah.
Chris bred since Tango 2007.
Oh, okay. Oh, he came in the heat of the post-election violence.
September 2007.
Damn, 3 months later.
Was my introduction. I'm like, these Kenyans want to penda siasa. And then, that was my introduction.
That's close to 20 years. So how is it like coming to Kenya, then like 5 months later, it's just 3 months later, it's chaos. How's that?
It was, at the time, I didn't understand what was happening, I hadn't read enough Kenyan history. In Australia, politics are like very uncool. No one gets behind politicians. And it's like a taboo to like get to politically organize.
Yes.
So when I came here, I'm seeing road shows, guys with t-shirts. My friend was working for Reuters, so I was Orange House as the Mandamano was starting, tear gas, everything. And it wasn't till the few years after that I read my history and understood like the monumental time that was going on. But it was a crazy time. Okay. Well, and at
that time you knew you were coming to stay, or you just come to visit?
We didn't have a plan. We met in Australia. Maya was studying there, Melbourne. And we met in university. I wanted to get out of Australia. We lived in Berlin for a few months. Then with Maya's Kenyan passport, they were like, you guys head back and let us know when you want to renew a visa. So let's check out Nairobi.
Okay.
And it was much more interesting than Berlin.
Yeah, and at the time, now we're talking about 2007, just for a short period, but I was working in a hotel in Diani.
Oh, okay.
And so Chris's like first experience had been to check into Diani, and the whole of like that Ukunda was totally on fire. Guys were not getting fuel. It was just a really hard time. So I think Chris was like, hey, what have I arrived into?
Yeah. Like Kina Ukunda were affected because I just thought it's
Likoni.
Misisi.
Yeah, Likoni.
They cut the ferry.
Okay, because I think like from Nairobi we only assumed it was because even in Nairobi it was not everywhere that was affected. So I just assumed like Akina Ukunda huko it was calm. It was not. Damn, okay.
A lot of people lost their lives.
Yeah, because that one I knew, but sikuwa nafikiria ilikuwa that bad that watu wanapigana. Alafu so you said born and bred, so wapi Nairobi? Niko sure si ghetto, so
si ghetto.
Yeah.
Ridgeways. Size of Kiambu.
Yeah. Okay. And you studied film?
I did not. I am a self-made filmmaker. But I have to actually give a lot of thanks to my husband and longtime partner because I was mainly in the music scene before.
Okay.
And then, then we were kind of figuring out music videos, and I was like, oh, this thing is actually quite cool, this thing called film. And so Chris was already working for other people, like filming stuff, editing stuff, working on Nurikayo. And then we then decided to apply for like the first East African Documentary Film Fund with an idea. And that's where I then really, actually more than music's now side thing, I then really like passionately knew that filmmaking would be my future.
Okay. So the name Circle and Square, You'd already started it or you started pamoja?
We started pamoja.
Oh, okay. Circle and Square, why?
Good question. It's I think it's we try and mix like creativity with logic. And so it's really about on one side you've got the passion, the other side you've got the reason, and it's just felt like a geometrical representation of of how we like to make films. There's two of us.
Yeah, the circle and the square changes.
Yeah, I'm clearly the circle. And
No,
you're the
no,
square.
me, I'm also the square circle sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
So that's our thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now you have a film, and it's called, your latest film is How to Build a Library, and I saw it premiered at Sundance.
Yeah.
That has to feel good, because Sundance is like the pinnacle, or it's like one of the biggest places to premiere a movie, or?
yeah.
Big time. I don't think we realized until we went and we saw like how big of a deal it was when you're there. It's this tiny village up in the mountains in Utah, but like the whole American film world converges on this tiny town.
Yes.
For like a week. And they really make a big deal out of every film that premieres there. When we submitted, the film wasn't finished. We'd been shooting for like 8 years.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we had an ending. Real life, you're following, you don't know where it's going to go. So we'd finally got the film to a point where we're like, all right, it's close. Let's just start submitting to festivals, see if we get feedback. We figured we had another 6 months to work on the editing. But these guys came back to us mid-November last year saying, you've been selected. It's like 18,000 submissions.
Yeah.
And they choose 12 films from America, 12 films international.
Oh, okay, so it's only 24 films.
24 films documentary
Okay.
in competition. So
We
we
scrambled.
were like, we had 2 weeks to finish the film, do the sound mixing, the color grading, print this thing to a DCP during Christmas while everyone's on holiday.
And we were also like trying to raise money because we didn't have that last amount of money to get us over the finish line.
Yeah.
But again, like I think what we also realized how prestigious Sundance is that as soon as we then announced that we were actually accepted for Sundance, guys just came through. They were like, okay, I'll put you in touch with this person. I'll put you in touch with this person. You can get this from this person. So it really was like a kind of a sense of community or a sense of crew who were able to like get us over that finish line.
And the 2 years before that, it had been straight rejections for all of our funding applications. We were just doing it all by ourselves. And it's the final mile of a film is the most expensive as well, you know,
all
all
the
that
post.
finishing production. To be skilled chungu. And thankfully the festival brought a lot of attention. We got all the support we needed to finish the film and get there. Shiron Washuka, the stars of the film, joined us there.
Okay.
Syokao.
We're all there. Syokao, the archivist, who's now working in Denver in a museum there, joined us as well. It was a big family kind of big party. Yeah.
And like, what drew you to this story? Because when it starts, I'm like, someone must have seen something I was not seeing. I won't lie to you. Like when it starts, I'm like, how to build a library. Then the more you watch it, the more you're like, but when you're starting it, there was no all this footage that you have right now. So why this specific story and why these two people? Yeah.
Well, firstly, it's funny because I think a lot of people have said the same thing. It's like, why have to build a library? Because for me, I'm not into libraries. And then now you want me to go watch a whole film about a library. But it's more about like how to build a country or because it's going through all of those different themes in the film. And I think for us, like when we had spoken to, we go way back with Shuna Washuka. Chris was doing some filming for Washuka when she was running Kwani Lit Fest. And I then was working together with Shiro. She was working for a sound company back in the days. And also a lot of the gigs that I was playing, she was also there. So we've kind of, the creative community here is small. So we were in the same realms. And they then decided that they were looking for a new space to hold a literature festival. And they had gone to Macmillan. And I think very soon after they went to Macmillan, initially, they were like, we actually want to now figure out how we can take over management and kind of make this space that's more relevant to Kenyans today. So they had initially asked us whether we could do like some social media videos for them. And so we went down there, and actually very, very early on, we both knew very quickly that this was not going to be just for social media. For us, it was more as an independent creative feature-length documentary, because using that library as a vehicle to tell this, there were so many ways that we could go in and out to tell colonial story, the intergenerational between the librarians and these young chicks, and the whole gender thing, and just class, language, everything. Just we could see that.
We basically filmed the first 2 days of shooting. The first scene of the film where they're just in the library. You see the condition, the mess, the rotten kind of institution. And then a week later, they had their first board meeting, which is also a scene in the film. And at the board meeting, we got to meet the board members. We realized that these ladies had like a big plan, and they weren't joking around, and they were serious. And we'd seen what Washuka done with Kwani. Shua was working on her first novel, and was also running an arts funding institute called the Africa Center, based out of Cape Town. And we're like, these guys are kind of serious. And then you had the existing librarians in the library. You had the Nairobi County who runs the building. You had the history, and I guess our radars just went up. It's like there's going to be a lot of collision coming up. We didn't know how, we didn't know where, but we're just like, here is a potentially dramatic situation where there's going to be tension. And for us as filmmakers, storytellers, it's like, where's the tension? And we're like, let's follow this story, see where it goes. We thought it was going to be a 1 year, 2 year thing. But as we know, things take time. As you see in the film, Changamoto Mingi. And 3 years, 4 years of filming, we're like, this thing, we have no idea how we're gonna make this into a film with a conclusion. And it took a good 7-8 years to finally get to a point where like, all right, this is our ending. Let's wrap it up.
So what did you? How did you know what to film? Because if you're filming for 8 years, how does that work?
We film everything.
Huwezi kujua?
No.
I mean, and you can't film everything, so we just, I think we just go with our gut. We're like, okay, these guys are gonna have a film screening on like the Mau Mau, detention camps and the victims of colonial torture. It's like, this is going to be an interesting conversation. Let's film that. Siokao, the archivist, is going to be in the basement today, digging up photographs. That's got to be interesting. I think whatever felt interesting is what we filmed, and they also did so many community engagements. They did so many meetings, so many board meetings, so many panel discussions. We filmed, I think, all up about 120 shoot days over the 8 years. So like 20 days, 30 days a year. And so when things would start to get repetitive and boring, we're like, all right, we have enough of that. What about these librarians? Their perspective is interesting. Let's spend some time with them.
We filmed a lot of their galas, but we only could use 2.5 in the film. But as Chris says, we were also like in touch with all of our characters from the librarian side and Kinashiro Mashuga to be like, keep us posted as to what's going on, in advance, so we know how to then prepare ourselves. And that's how then we were kind of able to film these certain things.
Yes, and for a Kenyan, I felt like it started with how to build a library to how corrupt a country is. Like Kenya is, I think this is the film. Like what I ended up getting from it is just how messed up the system is. Because this is a place where you have, should I say the private sector or and the government trying to work together. Where one wants to accomplish something, the other just doesn't care if anything is accomplished or not. And now that's what I'd ask, like how did they allow you to shoot like the meetings? Because I was seeing the meetings and they're there saying like, we run things here. They can't tell us what to do. And they're like, do these people know that the camera is on them? So how did they allow you to do that?
The librarians?
Yes, librarians, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I feel like with documentary filmmaking is that you're really investing in the time of getting to know people.
Yes.
And the trust. And for us across the board, between the librarians, between Shiro Mashuka and their team, the book bank team, we were able to really understand both sides of the story, and for us that was important. It's not like we're telling one side of the story. We have Shiro Mashuka, who are our journey through the film, but it's like how we're telling all those the other sides of the story. And so when we spoke to the librarians, we said, we want to film you guys like just having a conversation, like when they were having tea, because they were starting to talk about something. We didn't have the camera, so we were like, look, we really want to actually just film you guys having this very frank conversation as to just how you're feeling. And so then we were able to then capture that candidly, and because we'd already been with them for so long, I feel like it's just we're flyers on the wall, we just stay behind and we just film. And it's the same with all the other kind of interactions that we had with them and the politicians who would come through the space. Is that we were just there just filming, but we just were kind of invisible, I feel.
It was also at a time where I think the librarians were feeling quite marginalized. These young crews come in to change everything, and then they're realizing, hang on, actually, this could affect our job safety. They're wanting to change the whole system. And so what's interesting is that you have these librarians that are holding on to this like colonial system of classification. But it's also... They were right to defend it in a way. Why throw out the systems that exist? So for us, it was just like, this is where a lot of the dramatic tension of the film can be.
But I also feel like politically, like just to quickly add on to what you're saying, Chris, is I also feel politically like our systems are those colonial systems and they haven't been changed. And people are very comfortable in those systems. And it's the same kind of essentially like with the librarians, so that's what they know. That's how they know how to like deal with things and work with things. So how do you maneuver those spaces?
Last thing, we also didn't want the film just to be just a promotional 2-dimensional film showing just one side of the story. So.
Because these people are coming to disrupt like the whole system. That made me learn about something Dewey system and the fact that African writers are like basically disregarded, and they're sticking with that. So if I enter a Kenyan library, the one that has the Dewey system, that's the truth. Like I won't get African authors.
No, I think that's now changed now, but I think it was just like, how is it that we're then thinking about certain ways that these educational systems that have been, how are we thinking about shifting those narratives?
And I think it had a lot to do with languages as well. The thing that comes up in the film, these young guys have a problem with the system because you've got this allocation where you have major blocks of the numbering system for European languages, and you just have one tiny subsection for other African languages. But there's 2,000 African languages, so they're like, this doesn't work for us. We need to flip this thing so it serves us instead of like the guys in 1870 that designed this thing in England.
And then your first feature, I've not watched it, but now I'm very curious after watching this. So it says that it explored intergenerational conflict and accusations of witchcraft on the Kenyan coast, yes? So from that to this, like how does that shift happen and how do you choose your stories? Because I feel like these are two extremes.
Well, they're kind of extremes, but they're also similar in the sense that I feel like all our protagonists are really strong, resilient African or Kenyan women. And so, so my family is from the coast of Kenya, both from Kaloleni and from Lamu sides. And so we'd heard about Mekatili Wamenza, who was a female freedom fighter. And because we're both kind of also in the creative space, music and film, she apparently was bringing people together through dance and music. So we thought that was quite interesting. And that's what we'd initially applied to when we first applied for our DocuBox grant. And what then happened is that then we were in the coast, we were interviewing a lot of elders, and they were telling us, yes, we can tell you her story, but currently there's this issue happening where more than 10 elders were being killed every month, accused of witchcraft, happening within the families. So we were just like, oh my gosh. But we then came back and we only had a film about interviews, and we were talking heads, and we were like, what do we do with this? And when you talk about witchcraft, it's also very hearsay. I wouldn't say my family, there's a witch or whatever. It would be, Mwafrika,
accused.
it would be talking about other people or other things.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was actually really difficult to be like, where is our film? Until we then met our main character, Kaladze, who's a wonderful musician.
And I mean, we met him because we'd done all these interviews with the Waze down at the Kayas, where a lot of the cultural centers were. And we were asking questions in Swa, but they were all speaking Kikiriyama. And so we asked around Nairobi. I think it was Alaike who came back, and he's like, this guy Kaladze Vidze he's an artist. He's a Giriyama. He speaks Giriyama. He can help you do the translations. So we showed him these interviews and these rescue shelters that we'd filmed at, where all these elders were being kind of sheltered. Because walifukuzwa, like their places. So Kaladze is watching this footage and he's like, "Oh man! Like just 2 weeks ago, my cousins are posting on Facebook that kuna wachawi huko nyumbani, like watoto wamewawa, like." And he was confused and he's like, "What? So this is happening to a bunch of other elders?" And then he was like open enough, and again we built that relationship with him. We went back, we visited his home, we met his shosho, and they were also kind enough to allow us to basically live with them for like a year, 2 years, and we shot the film.
Oh, damn. Okay. And so now back to the library. So this library was close to Africans until 1958. So this is the info that we don't get, because like I think when I'm passing through and I see Macmillan, I just assume this has always existed and it's always been open to us, So how do you decide to now, let's make a story around this? Or is it more about Shiko and
Shiro
and Washuka? Yes.
And this is, I think, what was also interesting for us is that it was built in 1931. And it was only open to Africans in 1958. How many years is that? I don't know. I'm so bad at mathematics.
27
years.
Yeah.
27 years of a library in a country, a Kenyan country for Kenyans, where Black people weren't allowed into this space. And I think for me, it was really shocking. I couldn't quite believe it. And it was like, okay, how do we now try and portray this history and then the wider kind of colonial question through this library? And I also feel the same way, like, actually, it was one of the, I don't know, had you been in Macmillan Library?
Oh, the funny thing is, lived in Nairobi all my life. Because now with Kenya, the way we interact with libraries is, in high school there's a lib, you go to it. At University of Nairobi there's a lib, you go to it. But there's a certain level of kwenda library ni ufala. I don't know. But for someone like me, there's that, like, growing up, you'll go like, and a lib. Why should I go? Yes.
Yeah, and it was the same for me. And my mom was working in town, so I remember passing it. But it always looked locked anyway. So I never had an interaction with it until now. Yeah. And it's funny, so many people I've spoken to have had exactly that same, your same reaction. They've never been inside. So I think it's also, it's that Nini of, like, not having to go to a library, but at the same time, a place which also seemed locked and never, like, for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
It felt just like a very telling symbol, of like the colonial project. And on one side, it was this very historically potent symbol, but then we had these two, for us, very fascinating people. And so for us, films kind of need to be carried by people love people.
Yes.
So who are the people that are going to carry this story? But with the library as a vehicle to kind of explore a lot of these other themes, and it's telling. It's like I guess the defenders of colonialism are always like, it brought education, it brought medicine, it brought science, but when you really look into the nuts and bolts of, like, the project, it was about competition. The guys were here to make money. They were here to squash any competition, including, like, the locals. So the fact that they would build a library and it was only for white people is, like, a very telling message about, like, what was going on at the time. And then I think what we wanted to do was connect it to the way people are feeling now about the government that is still like following a lot of the same systems that this thing was. It's like there's this elitism, there's this division. It's not a system built on equality. So to build a better future, it's like you have to dig up all this old stuff. And Shion Mushuka were the kind of two people that I don't think they realized like how much work, like psychological work, they were embarking on. We knew it was going to be complicated, and it was going to take us into some territory that would be difficult. But it went from being like a physical renovation to like an emotional and just kind of psychological renovation.
Yeah. And also, I mean, it's quite amazing to think about like the inspiration that I feel for Kinashiro Mashuka, just in terms of their resilience.
Yes.
Like, I mean, they just keep going. And I think if it was me and I was having to deal in these situations, like after the first year, I would have been like, see, I'm out, you know? So for that, I really have a lot of inspiration for Shiro Mashuka. Yeah.
But even like for the both of you, like filming for 8 years, I'm trying to imagine like the level of things that can go badly in 8 years. So how do you keep going? Like the challenges and... Because 8 years is a long
time. And
we hit some rock bottoms, and then we had some big highs. And the thing is, because we work for ourselves and we don't have anyone giving us deadlines or anyone telling us what we need to put in the film, we could afford to say, you know what, let's just park this thing for a few months. Sometimes we butted heads with each other. We had some disagreements. And then we went and filmed another project in Lamu for 2 years, give us all some space. Then we came back together, we ironed out some of our issues. And I think as well, when they finally got what we were doing, because like you, I think they're like, why are you guys filming us? This is not very interesting. Day to day, it's really quite boring, and there's not much drama, and there's nothing happening. But like, we knew there was something interesting, and we were going to get into all this territory. And it wasn't until we were able to show them, you know, a 20-30 minute edit of the stuff we were starting to put together. We rented Unseen Cinema in Kilimani, and we had some of our supporters who we'd met who were coming from the States.
Yes.
And so they sat in the cinema, we showed them this footage, and then the supporters watched it. And the way they responded, they were like, oh, wow, now we get what you guys are doing.
That was after how many years of shooting?
That was 2021. So like after 3-4 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we're kind of at a point where we're like, we don't know if this thing's going to collapse, and maybe we just wasted 3 years, you know. Maybe we just let this thing die and find something else to do. It was a tough time.
But can I just also add, like, I feel like also, like, because we're married, because we've been together for 20 years, we have 2 small babies, we have 2 projects. Well, now this How to Build a Library and this new project in Lamu. And it's a lot. It's really a lot. And so you're not only like kind of speaking about work stuff, but you're also thinking about kids. You've got like a marriage, you have to communicate. You're always working all the time. So I think it's just those challenges as to also like within the relationship is how do you know when to just stop and to take time to just be, you know. And I think that's something that we're working on always.
Yeah.
But yeah, it went up and down. Challenges, pros and cons.
Yeah, because I can try and imagine. I love now what happens because there are no retakes. So as soon as you finish, do you go and back up? Like, what do you do to make sure that one day you're not seated at the editing desk 8 years later and you can't get the first like thing that you shot, you know, to make sure that you have all these.
Yeah. I guess our first film, we really developed a system of like organizing our footage. And I'd worked on feature films before, and, you know, you have that thing, you know, I know there was that shot, and then you spend 5 days trying to find that shot. So
Chris has a fabulous system that he created.
I think
all filmmakers should look at this system because it is quite special.
It's basically just a way of keeping track of all your shoot days and saving all your clips. I mean, the amount of clips you must be logging every day. You just have to find a way to organize it and somehow tag it in a way that we basically treated every day we shot as its own film. So we'd shoot 8 hours in one day. We're like, let's hang out at the library, see what's happening, and then at the end of that day, dump the footage, back it up on 2 mirror drives, one in another location in case there's a house fire or something. And then we'd say, all right, this day we could break up into like 6 things that happened. There was someone sitting on the steps having a phone call. There's a scene. Then there's a meeting upstairs. There's another scene. Then we had an interview with a librarian. There's another scene. I think it was David Lynch who I heard say, for a feature film, you just need 70 good scenes.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, so we just need to be collecting scenes.
Break them up.
So maybe we had 120 shoot days. Maybe each day were like 10, 15 scenes. So all we needed was like 70 good ones. So then the editing was like, all right, what are the most memorable scenes? What are the things that like we could hinge a kind of dramatic arc over these guys' story and how, and then you get to the end and you're like, all right, we got to set this up early. Maybe this scene can do that, or maybe that scene can do that. We must have cut 30, 40 other scenes that never made it into the film, but you don't know until you start like patching it all together. So it's like 3 years of like solid editing, I'd say. But we're also editing as we shoot. You're trying to get support. So the first few days of shooting, already you're editing a little development teaser, you're submitting to film funds, you're writing a synopsis, a log line, artist treatment. You're like, why should we be making this film? Why is this story important? You're trying to make people get it. And then found some support, then none. We start editing scenes, just trying to figure out how is this thing going to turn into a film. Yeah.
Okay. And there's Wanjiro Koinange and Angela Washuka. So who's who? Like, sorry, I think I watched the film.
Which is which?
I watched the film and I took Janet's thing of, I don't know which. So the one with the ear problem is?
Yes, Angela Washuka.
Washuka. So like, how do those like personal stories end up in the film? Because there was that, and then there was Shiro moving. Remember, there's Shiro moving houses. Then there's Nani with the ear thing. Like, how's her ear like right now? Is it better? Is it?
You know, I think for us, because we really like to follow characters, and it's important for us to then try and get as personal as we possibly can, for then also like how audiences then react in their own ways to our characters. And so we knew that Washuka was going in to get her hearing checked. She has always had a problem with her hearing, as it's in the film, but I think at the moment it hasn't gotten worse since that last thing that we filmed. And of course, like the pressure, there's like a lot of pressure. There's like stress about where they're getting their finances, stress about how this is going to happen. Are they going to get this extension? So I think on a daily basis, their health was taking a toll. And same with Shiro at that time. She also was having like a lot of like stress headaches and things like that. So for us, it was important to try and capture a little bit of the personal. There was actually a lot more personal, but we were then gonna go in 500 directions. So we had to really like hone it back into the library and what was important about the story. But yes, they took their toll. It took the toll. And I think they're just kind of working with what they can take on and trying to figure out their own health.
And for us, I think it was about how do you show that toll, and then it's not just like a walk in the park. I think these things are so hard, and so many of these projects end up collapsing because the challenges are just too crazy. So we could have got more into that, but then we need to keep moving the story forward. So it also came in a time where they hit kind of rock bottom, and we wanted to make that personal, you know.
Yeah. And the film has also been like described as reclaiming our narrative, yes? So beyond restoring the building, what else are we reclaiming? Like, because of course we get the history of the building, that Africans were not allowed in this building. Right now you're trying to restore the building. And apart from that, of course, there was the Colonial one and Makadara, and those ones went really well, yes? But how are we reclaiming our narrative? Is it now the books that are going to be put there? Like, Or should I be asking Shiro and Washuka?
I think you definitely should ask them also, but I think it's also reclaiming the narrative through the libraries. I think for them what's really important is, number one, how do you have books that are relevant to people today, whether that's school books or fiction books or biographies, but how is it that it's from writers that we also can relate to? And I'm not saying, and I think also this is something else I want to also add, is that a lot of Kenyans got a lot of great things out of using the Macmillan Library growing up. And so it worked for people. They were able to go in there, they could read books, like Akina Dan Muli, who's like, he used to come in there a lot. So I think it's kind of reclaiming the narrative from the space of what is it that they're now going to put in there that is going to now be able to change minds and So that's one. I think two is, yes, how are they going to potentially then rename this library? If that's going to be one thing.
Yes.
So I think that's also important as we talk about like the names of our roads, talk about the names of our buildings. And then I think also like, for me is like, it's the youth, it's the perspective of the youth, I think, which I think for us is important, is like, now we've understood, okay, this is our history, but what are we doing now to move forward?
Okay.
And I feel like all of those things came out quite strongly in the film as to what it is that they, as the protagonists and Bookbank, and us as the filmmakers, were trying to do.
Okay. And then, of course, there was the whole thing about the legacy of colonialism. So even if you look at the segregation, the fact that no blacks allowed till 1958. So there's that. And how was doing that, while at the same time I think there was a certain level of the book bank relying on the British embassy and the British whatever. And so for you, was there also that kind of level of conflict where you're showing this ugly side of maybe the British government, but you still have to go and kiss the ring? You understand? Like, still
this is where the irony was of that we found really and I think we can also empathize with it as well, because we have to find a lot of our support also outside. These are just the games you have to play, and it's contradictory in a lot of ways, but until like the Kenyan government is funding the library fully, these guys are forced to find their funding mainly outside. They can't get corporate Kenya to kind of cover all their costs, or like local philanthropists or things like that. So they don't really have another choice. And then someone like British Council, to their credit, comes in and supports a lot of their programs, a lot of their digitization work, a lot of their events. Which is a good thing, right? Maybe they're taking the money from the former colonist and using it as reparations to build something that's more like Kenyan centric. But then with that comes like a catch, and that catch at the end of the film, maybe we don't give too many spoilers, but let's just say a very important English powerful person has to come, and they don't really have a choice. They have to they kind of have to bow.
And I think also, like, I feel like we all know, like, that kind of the British and the Germans and the French, that's where the cultural funding is for a lot of Kenyans for different projects. And it's totally ironic, but until our governments say, okay, we have funding for the creatives and this and this and this way, with no kickbacks, no whatever, it's just like true funding, then I think then we'll be in this position where we can take our own narrative in our own hands. But currently there is this irony, and it was a challenge, I think, also filming, because for me anyway, the question to Shira Mashuka was, you're trying to decolonize the library, but essentially you're taking money from the British. But they very cleverly, and I also understood it and I respected it, they were like, for us, we know that we're trying to do good and we're trying to make this change. If we know that these are the only places where we can actually get our funding, how is it that we can then take that money, but then do what it is that we want to do with it? And I was like, okay, I kind of get your side of I kind of get it. And I just hope that, I mean, it's great that you have you have these funds available to us, but I think it's until our government steps up and essentially has those funds that they can also put into these spaces, then that's when now the conversation can really begin.
Okay. So the Kenya film industry, after being in it for now, it's close to 20 years. Yeah. How is it?
How is it? I think from a documentary perspective, I think it's a really exciting time.
Okay.
There's so many amazing filmmakers who are really making some really great films, and those films are being seen around the world. And I think it's like guys outside, even when we were doing our Q&As, were just like, this is so amazing. We want to be seeing more films, from Kenya, from Africa, by Kenyans.
Yeah.
This is it's a Kenyan bread, but a Kenyan. So I would call it Kenyan film.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think it's a really exciting time. And I think that's just growing and growing. From the fiction world, I can't really talk too much about it because I really don't know.
Yeah, the fiction world, it's funny enough, it's also growing. Because I think just this week, there was a movie called Makosa Ni Yangu that was premiering like in, it had already been released online, but then it was premiering like in the Kenya cinemas and they were all sold out. So
Dope.
yeah, so that's also happening. Like there's something happening there. So with the documentary world is what I didn't know, like what's really happening. But now the letter was there. First Kenya's first ever documentary submitted to the Oscars, 2021. So how do you decide that this one deserves to be submitted to the Oscars? How do you decide that?
I mean, we submitted, like this year recently, there were 5-6 films every year that get submitted that actually follow the criteria. And I mean, we were just honored that the selection committee chose the letter. It's the first time a documentary has been submitted because it's usually fiction films. And it was an amazing experience. It gave the film and us like a lot more. It gave it a whole other level of reaching audiences that I don't think it would have got without that thing. The Oscars is kind of funny because if you're really serious, you're going to be spending like
a lot of money. Like you're basically doing a political lobby, and we couldn't really afford to do that.
What does submission? What does it involve?
So you just submit on the Kenya side as the Kenya Film Commission that have their committee, because they've been, I guess, they've done the registration with the Oscar branch
body.
The body, so they've got the authority to submit one film. Every country gets to submit one film every year.
But that's I mean, it's not the easy part because also we were very honored to be chosen out of those films coming from Kenya. But I think the difficult thing is that now you're having to there's so many films and Hollywood is so big, and you've got all of you're going against all of those like crazy Hollywood films who have crazy budgets, the Netflixes and the what.
Yes.
So you have to then now find like a really amazing publicist, which will cost a hell of a lot of money, and then from there now start advertising, try and put your film in a cinema for a certain amount of time so guys can come and watch it. So it's just financially, it was just on a whole other level that we weren't able to afford. And so for us, I think we just said thank you so much for being chosen, and that really gave us a lot of traction, as Chris said, but we didn't go any further from there.
Oh, that's for the letter?
Yeah, for the letter.
Oh, damn. Because I thought, like from the outside looking in, you think submission is you put it in an email. No, not email. Like you go to poster to the Oscars, then you send it.
No, this was like Kenya's official selection. So it was selected here. And then from there now, it's like how you now try and lobby it over there.
So you're in competition with South Korea's film and Venezuela's
international
film.
Yeah.
All the countries are kind of competing to get. Then they choose maybe from 150 films. They do a short list, and then if you get the nomination, 6 films get nominated, and then you're going to the Oscars. Yeah.
So the documentary scene, you feel like it's growing?
Yeah, and I think it really comes down to this one organization called DocuBox. I don't know if you've heard of these guys.
Yes.
Founded by Judy Kibinge, the amazing Kenyan filmmaker who is on her way to Woodstock Film Festival right now to premiere her short film, The Goat. She basically was an amazing filmmaker, but then started up this film fund to help local Kenyan filmmakers, and then that has consumed her life for the last 10 years, and she hasn't been able to make her own films. But now she's finally back making her own films. And this is how I think we really grew as filmmakers. They would put out a call, they chose 12 projects to give funding, but they also give you mentorship. So they connect you with filmmakers from Kenya, from Africa, from UK, from the US, from everywhere. They would fly everyone over here. So you're in a room with the 12 other filmmakers from Kenya, these amazing mentors, and then, they're breaking your film apart, and you're feeling hopeless at times, thinking, my original idea doesn't really work. How do we make it better? It's like a boot camp. And then you're also learning so much from the other filmmakers, So Pete Murimi was making a film called I Am Samuel, and he had such this beautiful style of filming his characters, so we got inspired by that. Sam Soko was making Softy. Philippa Herman made this film called New Moon. Zipi Kimundu. All these guys who I guess are now our best friends and fellow filmmakers. So when we're working on How to Build a Library, we're like, hey, you guys, we've been editing this thing. We can't see. It's all a blur. Yeah. Can you come and take a look, give us some advice, give us some critical feedback, some constructive criticism, but everyone's helping each other. So there's like a real family of filmmaking.
And I also feel like, just to quickly add, and sorry, we're rambling, but I feel like also when, I feel like in the film industry, it's the same as the music, is that guys don't like to really share their ideas, because in the past, like guys have now taken those ideas and gone and done them themselves. So I feel like that has always been the attitude. And it's only through DocuBox, from a documentary perspective, where guys were able to come together and share what it was they wanted to share. And we were learning from each other, inspired by each other, working on each other's projects in some capacity. So I feel like it was really the first time that there was a safe space where there was just this sense of like, everyone is growing together. And I feel like it really does have a lot to do with DocuBox, and now how all these filmmakers are coming up and going out and making amazing stuff.
Ekonene, nimeinterrupt show kukuremind juu ya Lemfi. Kama uko US ama Canada na unataka kutuma do Kenya, register kwa Lemfi ukitumia promo code Ekonene. Hii itakuguarantee $20 cashback on your first $100 transaction. Alafu pia time una register, make sure umetick the 2 check boxes za notifications ndio ukireceive info about amazing offers through newsletters. Na pia usijali, Lemfi hawatumagi hizi letters za, yani unajua, like messages za kipumbavu. Pia usisahau, every time una transact $50 and above una earn points. Na the more una transact, the more points you earn, and you can redeem them as cash ile time unatuma pesa. Alafu pia kitu nanibamba kabisa ni saizi ukitumia Lemfi mzabaki umelipa pay bills na till numbers directly. That means mzabaki handle bills za maparo wako ukiwa hizo maside za States ama maside za Canada. Alafu pia we mwenyewe as a Lemfi user baki umetafuta ile button imeandikwa get USD $20, ubaki umeinvite mabeste zako, na ukiinvite mabeste zako on their first $100 transaction unapata pesa ngapi? $20 cashback. So unangoja nini? Baki umechangamka, ingia Lemfi. Lemfi, international payments for everyone. Ekonene.
Okay. Because talking of DocuBox, I don't know if they were involved in. There's this other guy who's called Ras Mtabaruka. Do you know him? He's also a documentary guy.
Oh no!
So he did a documentary about the elections in Botswana, and it was a very interesting documentary. Like compared to Kenya, where the level of stealing in elections is ridiculous. Like in Botswana, when they're counting votes, they take tea breaks, they leave the votes on the table and they just go. Kenya, if you did that, it would be... So it was very interesting to see like another country and how they approach. But now, the money element, if you're shooting for 8 years, that budget has to be crazy. So how do you shoot for 8 years? Where's the money coming from? Is it coming from your own pockets? Like how you... Or is it now DocuBox? And how do you keep telling DocuBox, we need more time, we need more time,
At the beginning, it's just us, and thankfully we have a camera. At the time, we had a Sony A7S. We had a Zoom H6 and a lapel mic and a boom mic. So Maya's on the sound, I'm on camera, and when you have your own gear, it actually costs nothing to shoot.
Cost time.
Okay.
It's our time and it's our gear and stuff like that. But there's nothing stopping you from getting some good things in the can. And then because I'm also an editor, as long as you have a laptop that works, you can then take that footage, start chopping things up and
then
molding
sending them out for different funds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And actually for this project, so it's funny because when we made the letter, we were like, okay, now we must be at a level where it'll be easier to raise money.
Yeah.
Actually, to be very honest, I feel like, I don't know if it's in any other sector, but for documentary, you're starting kind of from scratch again with the second film. And so we applied to the usual spaces where we'd applied for the letter. We got some, we didn't get others, and as Chris says, now we have like a string of different things that we've put together. We have a really good proposal, and we're sending these out, and we were lucky enough to then meet a lady who is like really the godmother of documentaries in the US, and she was in Lamu whilst we were filming our new project. And we met her on the beach, and she then opened up a whole other avenue for us of funding for this particular film. And without her, we really wouldn't have been able to get very far. So for that, we really give thanks. And then, as Chris says, then we get to a stage, we've got money, we've been filming, and then we start reapplying for new grants. We don't get anything. For 2 years, it was dry. We didn't get anything. And then it was only then until now we were like scrambling to finish the film for Sundance, that then guys like, okay, you're getting into Sundance, we got you. And then we were able to then tap into some more money. So it's kind of really been up and down. But I can say that for this particular film, we've been very lucky.
And it's DocuBox that opened us up to this whole world. When the letter was selected, they gave us a small grant that got us started, but then they Judy and her contacts kind of introduced us to, there's several film funds around the world.
Yes.
They put out a call once a year. There's a deadline. I don't know how many hundreds of submissions they get. Some of these funds are more interested in films from Africa, or the global south, or just everywhere. And this was a whole big education for us. And I have a spreadsheet of all the different film funds around the world and when their deadlines are. And so half the time you're filming, but the other half of the time you're like, how can we find a way that we can pay our crew? We can pay editors. We can pay for the color grading, the sound mixing, the archival licensing, the music licensing, the transport. If we can pay ourselves as well for all this work we're putting in, even better. But there's years where that doesn't happen. So we're like, maybe this thing gets sold at the end. 8 years later, it'll be able to help a little bit. We can support ourselves. But I don't know. It's just, we love doing this and we love working for ourselves. I wouldn't choose working in advertising or working in radio, or I think we just love being able to do what we want. And because we can work very cheaply, sometimes guys come to you and they're like, hey, I have some money, but you're gonna have to take the story this way. Luckily we can say no, because you know what, like, keep your money. We'll actually we can shoot for free basically, because we have our own gear. Yeah.
I'd not planned to ask this, but I have to ask. So I think the last soundtrack is Semper the Great or something, that girl. How did you settle on that song? Because that song is so good. So I remember finishing to watch it and then I'm like, damn, it's this song. I had to like Shazam it again to find out like which song was this, because I remember the song.
I mean, we really tossed it up, and I think initially we really wanted an iconic kind of Kenyan track. But as well, something about that Sampa song, I've always loved it.
Yeah.
And we also thought, let's keep a Pan-African vibe,
And also she's kind of quite feminist, and we're kind of talking about all these amazing women in the film.
Yeah.
So it was just like really fitting. In terms of licensing, the producers from New York, our co-producers, they had followed up with Sampa's people. So we currently have access for festivals.
Okay.
And we'll just have to figure out how we then financially maneuver when and if we then do broadcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because that was a really good song to finish the documentary.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
It was really good. So I've seen also the Ford Foundation was there. Sundance Institute, how does this work? Does this come after it's premieres on Sundance, or they support before?
They have a film fund.
Yeah, this was before. So they've got the festival, but then they also have the institute. So where the festival is, they also, I guess, have a foundation, and they give grants. I think 2 or 3 times a year they have an open call, and they were actually, I think, our second funder. And it's the hardest thing at the beginning, where you've just got like a small clip and someone has to believe in you.
Yeah.
Those guys have support. They also supported the letter, and they've come to visit Kenya many times.
And also, actually, during the Sundance time, because they have a lot of good contacts, Sundance, of course. And so even for post-production, which is the most expensive part of any film, they really came through with this kind of new thing that they have called Catalyst, where you get invited, and then they then put you in touch with a lot of their funders, and you then try and find ways that you can then work together. So that also came through for us also when we'd applied for Sundance at the end.
Okay. So, of course, the narrative of the colonizer and who is the colonized, yes? So there is that. I think that also comes across. So now if I'm doing a documentary, and this documentary, I remember one of the girls in the library is talking about how the Caucasians used to do this, do that, and you still have to go to the same Caucasians to look for funding. How does that work? Do you feel some level of guilt? Like, or do you make sure that they don't watch that part, they'll watch it when it's been released? Maybe Chris.
And this was a big conundrum we had when we're finishing the film. It's like, how honest do we do this? And we had a kind of crisis moment, I think. We hadn't finished the film, but we're like, we get into some territory here that could be a bit controversial. We didn't want to get them in trouble, because at certain times some of the characters speak to us very honestly about some of the conflicting feelings they're getting about where the funding's coming from and things that have happened in the past. And we're like, this has to go in. We have to like lean into this. And for us, it was just like, this is how we make an honest film. And I think as well, it was great for the film, because I feel that that's what people can really empathize with. And they got a lot of criticism for these same things you're talking about. When you had the royal visit in Kenya, people were like, you guys are sellouts, blah blah blah. But we were there with them behind the scenes, like documenting how difficult it was for them and how they were maneuvering it and playing the game.
Yes.
And I think they've been very smart about it. And I'm hoping that this film also, some of their biggest critics have kind of seen the film, and they're like, this actually redeems them in a lot of ways, because I don't think people realize the conflict that's going on internally, because publicly you have to present a very together operation, but inside there's a lot of torment. So for us, we wanted to keep all of that. We wanted to keep it raw. We wanted to keep it honest. We presented the film to the protagonists. Some of their board members watched the film, and some of these issues came up. They're like, this is maybe not going to be a very good thing. It might get us in some trouble. We consulted their funders. Some of them also had mixed reactions.
Okay.
And that was the point in the edit that was the hardest. It's like, how do we're like walking a tightrope. We don't want to censor this thing, but we also don't want to create problems for these guys.
Moving forward,
Yeah, moving forward. They have very important relationships. That's how they're keeping their project going. So I feel like most of our energy in the last year went on to like politically. That's where the responsibility as filmmakers really weighs on your shoulders, because films can really reach a lot of people.
And it has a long life.
And it's a very vulnerable thing to have a filmmaker come into your life, film what they want, edit what they want, and like not have any control over what goes into the final film. So we just had to consult with them, figure out how far can we push it, when do we pull it back. Same with the interactions with the county, with the librarians. It's like, how do we politically keep this honest, but like,
but not hinder their relationships moving forward.
And we didn't make the film to like point fingers or single people out or take anyone down. The point was how can we make this film like as constructive as possible and as progressive, and how hopefully people can feel hope watching the film, but also like we're in the dirt with them, you know.
Yeah.
And now, of course, there's the dynamic husband, wife. How do you know when to stop talking about work? You understand?
You don't.
Because if you're doing this project together, it's a documentary. So you find yourself at home
You just find yourself at home always talking about the project. Or it's like 2 a.m. We're still working on stuff, still trying to figure out, sending emails to this person, finishing the trailer, figuring out the poster.
Yeah.
So it's you're always
I'm
on.
exporting at the breakfast table.
Yes.
And we work from home. So like you're set up like where you never leave work. And there comes a time when there's like severe burnout and dare I say like relationship challenges. But I think as well, like working like this, we've had to figure out a lot of hard things, and I think that makes us like stronger. Also, it's so hard. I don't know how you do it alone, We have friends who are filmmakers and they make films solo, and I think that would be super
Takes
hard.
a big toll.
Yeah.
So you don't have like times when you have creative differences, and the creative differences will follow you home. Because for me, if I have creative differences with someone, anaishia, you understand? Like at some point you'll separate, cool down.
Totally.
With you, like the creative differences follow you everywhere.
Yep, it does follow us everywhere. The creative differences are definitely there. But what's really great is that I feel like we have so many people around us in the film space as our third person. So it's like if there's something that we're really disagreeing on, or something in the scene, in the film, or the way that it should go, or a particular character, we then call in the people. We call in the community,
the mediators.
The mediators. And that's the only way that then whoever then is like, oh yeah, I see where you're coming from, but actually I disagree with Chris, or I agree with Maya, or whatever it is.
No, they always agree with me.
No. They, most of the time they agree with me, actually. No. But I think that's where we have to really call on our community.
Okay. And now when if we're to go back to the letter, you talked about shooting mostly in Kilifi, those sites. So what happens to the kids during this period? Do you travel with them?
This was pre-kids.
This was pre-kids.
This was
pre-kids, both.
So I'm trying to imagine
because we released it in 2019. And then the first baby came in 2021.
So the kids came during this film.
But in saying that, our third film now that we're currently editing, our firstborn, who's now 4, she was with us. We were going to Pate Island. We were on the boats, on the border. We were like staying like interior. And I think it's just... as a filmmaker, husband and wife, and they're also so receptive to any environment.
Babies like to sleep on speedboats. And so she got to eat her first chapati and like in Chundwa village in Pate. I don't know, like it was a very adventurous time. I don't know if we have that energy anymore because it's like crazy. But we were learning to be parents while we're also working on a film, like in remote areas. We were going interior, filming Pekatoni all the way up to like the border of Somalia, leaving the baby with someone, with an auntie. It's just like, it's a lot to juggle.
But I mean, they're not going to remember anything, to be very honest. But anyway, maybe like in their soul, they'll know that they are like wise. They've traveled.
Plus, I think... growing up around filmmakers, they'll just end up being interested, because kids are super curious. So that's another thing.
Maybe,
But now, if you had to go back to now how to build a library. So, as you said, they're the librarians. So what was happening when the cameras are not rolling? Were they happy to see you there? Because I'm trying to imagine the way such environments are secretive. If you're there with a camera in my face and maybe I'm having a bad day, like what happens? Like how are you making sure that you also don't
overstep?
Yes.
And I think, again, like this really goes down to like just being in a space without cameras. It really, really, and I think that is like our number one policy, where you're just hanging out, you're understanding guys, you're reading the newspaper with guys, you're in the staff room drinking tea, you've brought mandazis, you know what I mean? Like there's just a sense of, sense of just down to earthness before any cameras come out. And we did that a lot.
Okay.
And I mean, definitely some people had their good days, their bad days. I feel like for us, we were really respectful.
Yes.
And really tried to be as respectful as possible. But then obviously also you're wanting to try and film things. And the librarians, I think, also knew, they had their spaces where they knew if they wanted to get away from wherever we were filming, whatever we were doing, they could do so. But it was kind of also quite easy. It was pretty chilled overall.
And I mean, if there's times, sometimes you're there and you're filming and like maybe a conversation's happening and you're like, oh, this could be juicy, but they're like, hey, ikitu ina record, like in a record sauti. It's like, so then you're like, all right, let me cut it and just put the camera away, but you know, off the record, like let me be in this conversation.
And we have a ton of those scenes where the recording was recording, but we actually didn't use it in the film because we also, didn't want to step over.
I know that. Yeah, because I also feel like they felt a certain level of comfortability around you, because some of the conversations was there like, these people are comfortable saying this when there's a camera rolling. How do you think you're able to make them feel that comfortable?
I think like Maya says, a lot of conversations without a camera.
And at that particular time, they were really feeling. They were really feeling like they wanted their side of the story to be heard.
Okay.
So it was actually a perfect time where they just completely opened up to us with their gripes.
Because I think the camera, as people start to understand, the camera is a weapon. You know, just like the knowledge of which books you choose to be in the library, knowledge is like weaponized. And I think in a lot of the ways, it also happens with the camera. If people feel that they're voiceless, or they're being sidestepped, or they're being disrespected, the camera can be very welcome to be like, hey, you're interested in my point of view, then I'm going to tell you everything. And the hardest thing is people usually want to perform. As soon as a camera is coming in there, people like are suddenly tense and it's very uncomfortable having a camera around. So you have to like break through that, and it takes time. Sometimes some people are just like, it's like, do they even know I'm here? I'm filming. They're acting so natural, and that's what you want. But other people feel like they have to perform, and so sometimes a lot of footage is just letting people perform. But after a while, they'll get bored of performing, and that's when we get the good stuff. That's when people are more interested about what Mafrika is up to, and they kind of forget that there's this guy in the corner like filming the conversation. Those are the moments where you're like, now we're catching it.
Okay. So how to build a library? So this is two individuals in their private capacity trying to save a public space. Yes. So after filming this, like, what are people supposed to learn about the government's role? Because I feel like that's where now it becomes tricky, because I saw so many government officials. I can say this, and I think you can say this. Maybe Chris can be diplomatic, but government officials doing nothing, understand? Like, basically frustrating the process. So what did you get from the documentary? Like, do you think this will encourage like private individuals to try and help where they can help? Or this is just going to discourage them?
Do you know what I think first and foremost it will do? It's going to like help individuals, not even private, just individuals in their own spaces, whether it's in their community, it's in their maskani, it's in their library, it's in wherever. I think to really just think about their situation and how they want to then relate to their government or to their spaces, and how they then want to take ownership of that conversation. I think first and foremost, I feel like that is what's the most important.
Okay.
And I think also, like with a lot of the question and answers that we've already had on the film, a lot of people come out saying, it's really made me think about what my role is in my community, in my family, in my society. So I feel like that it's just individually, it's just going to hopefully make everyone just want to figure out how to maneuver better. If that makes any sense. I think when it comes to government, I think the idea for this film was also just, we all know how things work.
Yeah.
But seeing it, I feel like also just gives you that sense of, like realization where you're just like, how is it that we can kind of like challenge
Yes.
this, and what is it that we're going to do? And I think also people in government find it difficult also, I think there's so much bureaucracy that I feel like a lot of these conversations that maybe people in government do want to help, they actually are also then taken into this deep hole where they also then, so I feel like there's also positive people who are also trying to do something, but then they also get tied by the red tape.
And at the end of the day, like, it was hard, and it wasn't the dream story. It wasn't as if like the guys from government weren't able just to unleash the potential for this project, and that's a shame. But at the same time, like, the needle did move. Like the library at Makadara and at Kaloleni, these places, we were there a few weeks ago still filming, because like the place is just buzzing. There's hundreds of kids every day. They have to do shifts and every single seat is occupied. There's computer classes, homework classes, music classes, dance classes. They put on a literature festival every year. It's like, as hard as it was for them, I think Eastlands has this incredible library now that all these kids in these neighborhoods can attend. There's all these books they can use. There's touch screens for them to find books they want. There's art classes. It's like, for all the difficulties, there's a lot to show for it. And I think at the beginning, like, we felt that they were a bit naive. Like, I think they were really romanticizing. They're like, this is going to be a blueprint for how a private entity can collaborate with the government, and we're going to show people how easy it is. Because as soon as they started knocking on doors and they're like, we have this idea, they went through the different channels of the departments at the county, and they were surprised. People were like, okay, cool, you guys want to come do this thing? Let's write an agreement, have the access to do it. And they're like, oh my God, this is just so simple. How come more people aren't doing this? How come we didn't do this earlier? But then, of course, the challenges start to come up, and you start to see how that happens. And for us, it was just a very, dare I say, like, I felt like a library was like a safe way to get into the granular detail of how all those mechanisms start to work. And it just feels like an important conversation. And because we did, a lot of the people from county also voiced their frustration to us. It's like, these things should work better, and it's a shame that there's so much bureaucracy. And I think a lot of people do generally want to like make things work better. But I guess there's just this paralysis, and there's this overriding system that can't be escaped. But I think Shiro Mushoka have shown there's a way you can maneuver, and it's not perfect, but it's like several hundred steps forward.
And as filmmakers, were you also getting frustrated or as a filmmaker, you don't care about the end result, you just want a good film? Because I remember watching it, and when they're getting promised about signing this thing, it's called what? An addendum? I don't know don't even know what it means, but I remember like looking at the way they'd be excited. Like, there's this one scene that I've not forgotten, where Shiro is in the car and she's saying that if Janet Ouko was running for office, she'd campaign for her, she'd do all this. I'm in the podcast space, so I'm there like, you're just about to find out. Like, I knew the end before the end. Yes, because I've been in this space and I know like political figures and things that happen. And you end up seeing that doesn't happen. They meet someone else, and I think it's the county lawyer. The county lawyer is, I'll have this done by Monday. I can even sign it right now. But you know what? Monday I'm traveling. So let's do this on Thursday. And they're like, this is some bullshit. So for you as filmmakers, are you getting frustrated with them, or you're just going with the flow?
So as filmmakers, it made the better story, right?
Yeah.
So for us, I think from that side, it was like, okay, it's great that all of this is coming up, because exactly like you, we all know what the end result is going to be.
Yes.
You know, just like you're just like come on,
We've
like
been
for
here
real.
before. Yeah.
As an individual, it was super frustrating, because you just know that these guys are really trying to figure out how to get the management to be able to do these things that they want to do in the library, and then there's this continuous like challenge or blocking, and I think that was frustrating, and I feel like we kind of really captured that in the film on all sides, and I think also like Shiroma Shuka, as Chris says, is that they were so naive at the beginning. And initially I just knew straight away, I'm like, I don't even know why these guys are being so naive. But then because they were also so hopeful,
Yes.
it also allowed us to also feel that hope for a second. And I think that even that, you know, when they were in the car talking about like Janet Oko running for president, it was just so beautiful, because it's such a real moment of them just being like, yes, she's our person, you know, but then,
Yes.
you know, what happens next. And so I think what also makes a good film is like having those emotional moments where you're kind of going up and down. And I hopefully, as filmmakers, we manage to capture it.
Yeah,
I mean,
capture that
as
really
as
well.
filmmakers, or as a documentary maker, I the stuff that I'm really attracted to, Maya, as well. I think it's when there's a subliminal conversation happening, like beneath the surface. There's the words that are being said, but then there's subtext like under everything.
Yeah.
And for me, that's when that's a good sign, because the audience is going to have to connect some dots themselves, and you don't want to just feed the audience a story. You want to have them have to join some dots and do some work themselves to know and create tension and underneath the surface. So in those kind of conversations, what I found really interesting is it's all the things that aren't said. Like,
Yes.
if you just listen to what people say, everyone's, yeah, we're good, no problem's going to come our way. But like, and this is where things get a little lost for people outside, because they're like, oh, the government are great, you know, they're saying they're going to do all these things, and then they don't quite understand why that doesn't materialize. But I think here you can kind of tell what's happening, and for us that's interesting, because there's like mystery and question. Yeah.
And the project starts under Sonko. Right now it's under Sakaja, and okay, no
It will
spoilers.
probably go to the next person.
I was not trying to spoil for them. But it's one of those things when you're watching, you're like, this is Kenya in a nutshell, you know, like this is how things move, and this is the reason why sometimes when we hear the president, like I don't know if lately you've heard him say, we're going to be a first world country in 30 years, we're going to be, and you're like, no, it starts with the small things though. And for people to see the bigger picture, because I feel like there's also no political goodwill. Like, yes, we can talk of the county lawyers, we can talk, but when it comes to a governor, you're like literally the president of this county. If you decided this has to happen, it's going to happen, you know.
But is it that easy? This is what
not
I'm just like.
easy.
Yeah.
Surely there has to be a catch. Because why?
No.
Why hasn't it happened?
It's because, remember, there's a cafe and there's a toilet. People need to make money. Literally make money from shit. Like that's
the reality.
Yeah, that's the reality. So it's, but I really loved it. And I think like any Kenyan is going to love it, because as I keep saying, it just captures Kenya and the whole political system, and how I'll keep saying there's no political goodwill. Like, you'll see individuals really giving 100%, and then the government officials giving it, you know, and then the distrust where like the librarians, I understood why they felt like they need to protect their jobs, because that's the human thing, you know. You have to guard, like, this is my space, don't come and mess it up for me, because you also don't want to show people that have been incompetent all these years. So it's a very good documentary. Like, it captures everything, and it's something that I'd want like as many people to watch as possible. So now what's happening this week? You're premiering it where, and are like the general audience Kenyans, if they want to watch it?
So we're premiering this week at NBO Film Festival on the 16th of October. It is invite only for that particular one. But then the 17th of October is at Unseen. I think the tickets are online.
Okay.
I think. If they're not already sold out, I'm not sure. And then on the where are we?
18th,
Saturday the 18th, we are at Colonial Social Hall, and that's a free event, so anyone can come around for that.
3 p.m.
And then in the case that then guys then want to see it in cinemas down the line, we will also be having a theatrical run end of November into December.
It'll be showing at Prestige Cinemas from the 21st of November.
Yeah.
Like hopefully every day.
Yeah.
And as long as people go to see it, it'll stay on. I think the cinemas here, they'll give you 2 weeks, and if people show up, you can stay. If no one shows up, then they pack it up.
And then I think then next year then we're going to think about like a whole impact, like how do we screen it in all the libraries across the country, in the social halls,
for
and
free
in public spaces. We're trying to figure that out,
because there's also like another new model of distribution that happens in Kenya. I think it was started by these two guys. There's one called Philip Karanja and Abel Mtua. Don't know if you know what the two of them. So normally what they do is they post it online, and then people can buy a watch once link. And that, works for Kenyans who can afford it. So are you planning to also do that? Because with that you can get some money back.
That would be amazing. And they even do like big screenings as well. I've seen some of their screenings, like 1,000 people.
This past weekend.
This is where I think the real hope is, that there's this homegrown way, and there's like a demand for like local films, and those guys' films are amazing. And so this is what gives us hope. We've been so busy just trying to get the film finished, and we've been just in the mode of like storytelling, and now we're like, now we have to figure out how to like get it to the people,
for as many people to see it as possible.
And this is why it's great to be at MBO, because they're an amazing festival. When we did Sundance, we were like, all right, great, so then we'll show the film back in Kenya February, March. But Sheba was like, if you guys can wait a bit, we can premiere the film at MBO. And for us that was more exciting, because the whole community comes together, they put on the big event, and then it'll be at cinemas after that.
Okay. And are you thinking of the Netflixes and the Showmaxes
of course
for documentary?
I think everyone is thinking about the Netflixes and the Showmaxes. Netflix, we've been in conversation actually with them.
The issue with this film, it's not about serial killer in Cape Town. It's not.
It doesn't have enough. It doesn't have enough grit for them.
It has like a sort of a niche audience. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Like, you have to love documentaries to. Okay.
We're hoping people who have no affection for documentary, like we don't want that to be like a barrier. And we really treated the story like it was like any feature film. And we try to make it as compelling as like any kind of high budget thing, even though it's real people, and we're working in a very low budget way. But for us, like hopefully just the story holds up, and people are interested enough in all the themes that come up, all the feelings that come up out of it. So we're hoping as well that in maybe 2026 one of these platforms want to show it. If they don't, we'll release it ourselves.
Okay. And I can market it in my own way.
Big time.
Watch documentary one Sakaja akichoma picha. Msikia buda anachoma. I'd forgotten to ask you, like I've noticed your Swahili. So you've been learning in the process, like Swahili?
Like when I first came, I bought like a book called Simplified Swahili that I could just learn some grammar. But I edited a feature film called From a Whisper, and like 70% of that film was in Swa. And so I was new to Kenya, and I was like, actually as a film editor, it's like the best way to pick up a language. Because you're listening to the same scene like 100 times, 200 times over the year you're editing a film. So I felt like I got at least a lot of my understanding listening, but I don't think it was till we're like at the coast shooting the letter, spending time huko Mangweni, una kunywa kilalo kidogo, like the bit of palm wine, and then your tongue's getting loose and you're just talking smack at the palm wine den. And also the film was kind of heavy, so you're expanding your vocabulary. Unaongea kuhusu dini, kuhusu chawi, kuhusu like all the things, and then someone's saying these words. You're not capturing everything, but then you're back in Nairobi, you're editing, you Google Translate, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? And I guess over the years, there's enough to like carry on a conversation. In my first year, I realized like lugha ni muhimu sana.
Yeah.
Like ukiingia mahali na unaongea Kizungu, like guys are going to talk back to you in Kizungu, but like there's a different level of like
interaction
of understanding us. So and because as filmmakers we want people to be like real.
Yes.
Like if everyone's talking English, then a lot of the time it's not genuine, you know.
The reason I'm asking is I hosted this content creator. He calls himself Mulami Mwitu. And it was so interesting to find out that, because when we listen to him, he talks in a Luya accent. But he told us that's how he talks Swahili. So he does not know that it comes out like he has a Luya accent.
Right.
So I was listening to you, I was waiting to see, does he have a Luya accent? But he does not have. So he's English, lived in Eldoret, and somehow as he was learning Swahili, he learnt it and it comes out in a Luya accent. So when we are watching him, we're like, this guy is joking. But then he's there like, no, I'm not joking. And he speaks Swahili full time. So I remember like when we were setting up, so he comes, sits down and he's talking to us and we're hearing the accent and we are losing it. So I had to ask him like, how did you learn how to do this accent? Because I can't even do it. And then he was like, I didn't know I had an accent. Like people just told me. So it was really funny to see. And how hard is it like learning Swahili as a second language?
Yeah, and you know, I come from Australia, and in Australia people don't speak more than one language most of the time. I mean, unless you're an immigrant or something like that. But it's not like a thing where, you know, your next door neighbor speaks a different language or things like that. Here, guys are speaking 3, 4, 5 languages. It's crazy. And I don't know, I'm frustrated still, like at my level. Each year I'm like, man, I'm really going to go back and I'm going to try. But time's always short, and I thought maybe we were going back to Lamu, I'd work on my Swa more, but in the end I'm just getting by.
When you're using words like kuhusu, you're learning. You're doing well. I think you're doing well. Yeah.
Okay, cheers, man.
I know, I agree. I do great. He's doing
Plus
really
you
great.
have like someone from the coastal, so I know your Swahili. When you're angry, do you speak that coastal
and
Swahili?
imagine, I just can't even take credit for my coastal Swahili. My coastal Swahili is just Nairobi Jikoni Swahili. Yeah, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
'Cause like,
I wish. And I really also, like Chris, I really need to be working on that Swa from Mombasa. But
because my wife is like Giriama and Chaga.
Okay.
So because of that, she has that. Normally when she's angry at the kid, she pulls that coastal Swahili, and it's normally the funniest thing to see, because you just see like my daughter just scared. Just shrinks. So I thought you had that in your like for
Has she seen the
threatening
letter?
kids with. Yeah.
Has she seen the letter?
No, but we watched this together, like this alone. But the letter is where can I watch it, Kwanza?
We'll send you a link.
Yeah, because I need to watch it. That one I'll buy. Like if it's being bought, let me support.
It's available on the website the-letter.org or circlesquare.tv.
So it's still free.
It's
we had to pay one
it's
for
on the
that.
Vimeo pay by demand, so I think it's like a few $100 bob.
Okay,
to watch
it's
it.
good to support, because that seems also interesting, because I want to learn about witchcraft.
And especially if your wife is half Giriama,
yeah.
got to watch it.
Okay. But she's a sellout when it comes to Giriama. Like
my
she's
dad.
Nairobi, what. So the Swahili is the only part she has. Like her Giriama is horrible, but I'm sure she's going to enjoy it also, because that's Ocha. Yeah. So now you're working on your third. So were you shooting these two at the same time? Because the third one is in post production.
Yeah.
We kind of had a hiatus when the library film kind of we hit a wall. We weren't sure. Also, like these guys also hit a wall. They weren't sure if they were going to be able to like pull the thing off. We weren't sure. We're like, we got some time up our sleeves. COVID was happening, so we're like, let's get out of Nairobi.
And we also we heard that there was this young lady who was running for governor in Lamu County, and for us, just again, like there was so many different things that we could see as potential story. So we just kind of like got straight on it and started filming, and it was in between. And now I feel like, because once you finished a film, it's like also like having a baby, like it's exhausting because it's taken everything out of you. And so now we're just like, hey, now we need to start like first of all finding the money, then starting to like edit this film. And
we need to find more juice.
We need to have some time out for a bit, and then we'll get on to it.
Yeah, but this one is coming out when?
Good question. Hopefully 2027.
Whether it's before or after the election, we'll have to decide.
So she was running or she's running now?
She ran. She may run again. We don't know.
Okay.
We'll see.
So you were with her during all that period?
Yeah, we filmed like 2 years, the whole campaign. But also like we filmed like the whole gubernatorial race. In Lamu, and then as well a lot of the history there, a lot of the things happening.
Because Kibajuni history is also so interesting, and it's so ancient. So for us, again, it's like, how do we find all of these different dynamics to then make a film?
And there you've got the port being built, you've got all the different communities all mixing in together. There's no shortage of kind of drama.
Okay. I think you'll also love that documentary, and Mtabaruka watches Ikoneni, so you need to because he's done a few documentaries. So he does documentaries around elections, but presidential elections.
Yes.
So he did the Botswana one.
Did you do one in Zimbabwe? No, that was a lady. Sorry.
There's another one that he did for another country, and he was saying that he wanted to do the Tanzania one, but with that he's afraid because the way they look at Kenyans is like disruptors and
especially now.
They look at us as troublemakers. So there's that. But so you've said the letter. If people want to watch that, they go to
our website, which is www.circleandsquare.tv. They can find it there. They can find all the information there.
And we can just Google the letter Kenya.
The letter Kenya. It's still going to come out.
It'll come up.
And with how to build a library, that's going to go. So now if you want to watch it, go to the cinema first, yes? If you want to watch it
and I think if you want to just follow or find where it will potentially be, it's just follow our website or our Instagram page.
Follow the Instagram, because it's about to play in Philadelphia. It's just playing in Vancouver this weekend. It's going to be in Amsterdam. It's going to be in Sharjah. It's going to be in France. It's playing festivals
Turkey, all over the
all around the world. We'll be in Egypt next week at Alguna Film Festival. So wherever you are in the world, hopefully it's going to be showing on the screen.
So Wakenya wa diaspora support kauko Philadelphia, baki umefika. Good time kumbuka Kenya kumbuka Kenya. So nyuso magaiko nini nakumbusha Kenya, kumbuka Kenya. Kuna za ovyo huku. Because I feel like for a Kenyan who's abroad, that film is going to be frustrating because you just see how these two girls are trying their best, and so it's a very interesting. I'd have to say that like you came up with something so good. Like I remember watching it like yesterday, because now we had to do this today, and I'm just there. I'm like, something good is going to happen, and you just hold on to hope till the end. And then when it's ending, you're there like, maybe kuna part 2, and in part 2 everything went well. So it's a very good film. It captures I don't know if I can call it the Kenyan spirit. So thank you for that. I think I really enjoyed it.
Na kazi inaendelea na hawa. If you follow bookbank.org, you can follow the work of Bookbank and everything they're doing. These guys are still they're still pushing the plan. They're still fundraising to get the Macmillan fully renovated and done. They may not get the paperwork that they want from the powers that be, but I think at this point they're just like, we've tried this thing too long. We have to finish the job. So follow them as well, and you can see what they're up to.
So US, it's Philly and where?
Man, there's so many.
So
Kenyan follow
just
Instagram.
Follow Instagram.
Page.
Look up how to build a library on Instagram, and all the festivals are being posted.
Get a slice of home. Go watch that. Alafu Canada, it's Vancouver.
Vancouver in Canada.
International
It's
Film
showing in
Festival.
London on the 27th of October, at the Bertha Dockhouse Cinema.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of literature festivals around the world that are showing it. So Colombia, Wales, all around Europe. It's getting a lot of invitations.
Okay. So Mikila Zasmani, asanteni.
Asante sana.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and also thank you for the great documentary. And let's hope that they'll win.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to watching the letter because I really loved how to build a library. Really loved it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for having us, man, and thank you for honoring us with the spot on such an amazing show.
Yeah. Oh, asanteni jo. Yes, unajua it's these conversations that make the podcast. So so imekuwa ni special. Tunaitwa haraka haraka cause the Nairobi Film Festival. That's what's
NBO.
happening.
Yeah.
NBO. It's happening where?
Prestige.
Oh, it's at Prestige.
Yeah.
It's open to the public. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some really amazing films actually just across the board, like for the whole week. There's some really, really incredible films. So guys should definitely come out and support.
Yeah, because I also sat with the guys who did this movie. It's called The Dog.
We've heard a lot about this.
Yes, The Dog. It's also premiering there. So Wakenya jo, hii ni wiki yetu ya film. I'd have loved to be there, but I'm traveling on Thursday, so I won't be around till next week. But bana, to support jo Wakenya tutoke, because at least one of the things I love is nowadays we show up for these things. So I'm sure that it's going to be packed, which is a good thing, sindio?
Yeah. Thanks.
So kama kawaida bila kusema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend, tukimalizia tukisema ekonene.
Ekonene.